Can you just explain to people your story, your former partner, a man called Shane Jenkin? Explain to the viewers, if you will, the background behind what happened to you.
Basically, I met Shane Jenkin back in 2009, and I went down to the Barn nightclub with my sister, and basically I'd got chatting to him, and my sister said like he seemed like a really nice fella, like he'd sorted his life out, because we'd knew him 10 years previously from a brief encounter, but didn't really know anything about this man. So when I met him down the Barn nightclub, that's when our relationship started. Basically, he was very, very sweet to me for the first, like, I'd say 4 or 5 months. Extremely nice to me. I never ever knew that this man had previous towards any other women at all. So when he first turned on me
So this is important, isn't it? When you meet someone, anyone, well, she knew him 10 years before. You know, it wasn't the first time she'd ever met him. You know, even someone maybe you went to school with or somebody you did know 10 years ago, when you bump into them again, you don't know what's happened in that meantime. I've heard a lot of the true crime things I've seen where people have bumped into someone and started a relationship with them, but unbeknown to them, in the sort of 10 years that they hadn't seen them, they'd done all sorts of terrible things. You know, you almost feel like you should, as soon as you start a new relationship with someone, you should do a police check on them, a man or woman. You need to know, because you just don't know about people's past.
I started seeing little first glimpses around about New Year's Eve when we went out to a pulled up party, and he turned on me on that night and started spitting on me and calling me all sorts of horrendous things. But he hadn't actually beat me up until the April. I think it was April the 16th, 2010. The final attack happened April the 21st, 2011.
So April, and let's just explain to people. So was Shane Jenkin a man that you loved? Did you love this man?
I fell in love with him, yes, I did.
And you were unaware that he had a previous history, like you say. He'd served quite a lengthy prison sentence for giving somebody previously brain damage by stamping on them. But he'd explained to you that it wasn't really him and that he was the fall guy for his friend, and you believed that.
I did believe it. He said to me that he took the blame. There was another man that was with him, but he took the blame. He didn't want to be, in his words, a grass, so he took the full blame.
You know, they say, I mean, pardon the pun, because it literally ended up being blind in this case, but love is blind. You know, when people, how many times have you heard someone, not maybe even things as extreme as this, but people want to believe it. Comes back to this denial thing. When someone's in love with somebody, they want to believe what they're telling them. You know, you meet someone and then you find out they've got a conviction for, well, grievous bodily harm, isn't it? I mean, it's not just, I don't know, it's not stealing a packet of crisps from a supermarket. You know, grievous bodily harm, stamping on someone's head, and then he's saying to her, oh no, he just took the fall for it, you know, for somebody else. Now, and she's believed him because she loved him, you know, because people, when they're in, it's, so, you know, see, if that was me, I mean, but I'm further on now, obviously, in my life. She would have been younger then, you know, and I've experienced things in my life that have made me perhaps a bit too cynical. But, you know, you would, wouldn't you? If I would have researched that, I'm not saying I wouldn't have believed him in the end, but what I would have had to do was research it and find out if it was true or not, go into the case, find out, you know, if he had any other convictions for anything, not just that set point blank, you know, what he says. But she loved him, and she was probably, if it was over 10 years ago now, I think she was probably quite young. You want to be in love. When people fall in love, especially because in the beginning, when it's really nice, she said he was really sweet to her for such a long time. It's so difficult then when they change and their real self comes out. It's so, you always want to remember the nice things, and you think, oh, but he was so lovely then, and he did this and he did that. It's so difficult, you know, to accept that that wasn't the real them. This is the real them now. That in the beginning wasn't the real them. That was the love bombing and the narcissism, etc. Get you to fall in love with them, and then once you're in love with them, then the real them comes out, doesn't it?
And that's why he got sentenced to 4.5 years for giving a man brain damage for stamping on his head.
And you loved this man, you believed this man, you wanted to see the good in him, you believed his
I fell in
story.
love with him. It was 3 months before we even turned around and told each other that we loved each other. That's why I thought it was real love.
Yeah,
because,
you took your time.
Yeah, because other previous relationships that I've ever been in, people have always turned around and said to me that they loved me straight away, which I never believed, because I thought you can't love someone straight away. Whereas with Shane, it was different. It was 3 months before we told each other we loved each other, and that's what was different for me. And I really fell for him. I've never really been in love properly until I met him.
Oh,
yeah.
So then let's talk about that fateful night and what happened to you at the hands of the man that you've just told us you loved and that you felt safe with and that you believed was the man for you. Talk us through that horrendous night. What happened?
Well, I was outside chatting with my new next door neighbours, because the back door of my house is on the side of my house. So the side of my house is on, basically, I can see the back of their garden. So we was out there chatting with my next door neighbours. And I went upstairs to go and use the toilet. And as I'm going for a wee, I could hear him talking to the neighbours next door, offering his prescription medication. And I thought, oh, for God's sake, I've only just got the social services out of my life. He's just come out of prison. He told me everything's going to be okay and everything's going to be normal. I'm going to get the social services back in my life again because of this. So I quickly ran down the stairs. And as I've gone into the kitchen, he's already in the kitchen cupboard pulling out his medication. So I quickly, he's a big tall guy. He's like 6'4". I'm only 5'4".
oh.
So he's quite taller than me. And as he's reached up, I've kind of managed to reach up and quickly grab him out of his hands and looked at him, and I went like that with my face, like, because I didn't want to talk because the back door was open and I didn't want to hear like the neighbours hearing me having an argument with him. So I just quickly shook my head like that, as if thinking that he had realised what I meant. And he snatched him out of my hands, gave me the most filthy look, and went like that in my face. So I turned around and I was like, I said, F you. And I turned around on my heel and I went upstairs through my front room, back upstairs. These are my final visions as well.
Oh.
Through my front room, back up the stairs, and I jumped into my bed with my clothes on. And I remember turning to...
Imagine that's the last time you saw anything. You know, that's the last time she is completely blind. Just awful, isn't it?
To the left like that to me, where I could see the light coming through the doorway. And then I just turned on my right side and I thought, bugger you. And that's the last thing I remember. And the next thing, I woke up and I wasn't laying the way that I should be with my pillows behind me. I was laying across the bed with my legs hanging off the bed, and I was wrapped up in my duvet, and I didn't know what was going on. And I was making all these weird gargling noises, like guttural noises coming from my throat. And there was really weird noises. I've never made noises like that from my life. I didn't know what it was. I now know that was the death chant, but at the time I did not know that. And
oh my God, the death chant! This poor woman.
Next thing you know, I had hands through the duvet start strangling me, and I couldn't protect myself because I was wrapped up in the duvet where my arms were beside my side as well. I couldn't breathe. There was no air coming in. I didn't know I was blind. I didn't know he'd beaten me up. I didn't know anything. All I knew was he strangled me, and I don't know why. He knocked me unconscious. When I came back round, the room was really quiet, and I was still making all those weird guttural noises in the back of my throat. I didn't know what was going on. Still didn't know I was blind. And then after, I felt like I was in the room then for about 10-15 minutes on my own, because it just felt like a long time. And then I felt the hands come through the duvet again and start strangling me again and knock me unconscious. And then I come back round, and then the third time.
Right, I hope you're all okay out there, because this is pretty triggering, so it's going to get even worse. So just to warn you, if you don't, if you think the details are going to be too much, probably better you don't watch.
Still making all the weird noises and everything. Still didn't know I was blind, still wrapped up in the duvet. and the room was quiet again. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't scream for help because I didn't have a voice. That's the thing. I couldn't scream. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't even scream out for help. And then next thing you know, his hands around my throat again, strangling me. And this time I knew that he was attacking me, and I could feel my legs stretching really out far. And then next thing you know, I opened my eyes and I was somewhere completely different. I actually thought I was outside on my trampoline sunbathing. I could see black underneath me, and I looked up and the sky looked like white with really light blue and pale pink colours in it, and everything had a golden shimmer to it.
Oh.
And all of a sudden I really relaxed into myself, and I was like, oh.
That's like a near-death experience, isn't it, by the sound of it? We need to do a video on that one day, because I do believe in those for the reasons that people quite often have these near-death experiences, don't they? It's quite nice in a way, because it sounds like it's a pleasant experience at least.
Wow, this is nice. And then I remember hearing like men to the left of me mumbling, and I thought, who's that? And I knew it was 3 men to the side of me, but for some reason I couldn't turn my head to have a look. So I was trying to arc my ear to listen to what was being said, and I couldn't make out what was being said. And then in my head I thought, that's my neighbour. He's going to know that I'm being attacked by Shane, and he's going to come and rescue me. And as soon as I thought that, all of a sudden my legs got pulled up to like a 45-degree angle like that. And all of a sudden my legs started being pulled like on a magnet. And then next thing you know, in my body, I felt my body go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times like that. And all of a sudden I opened my eyes. Even though I didn't know I was blind, I was conscious. I was, and I didn't realize that I just basically passed over. I didn't even realize that. It wasn't until after, when I was telling my story, I realized what that was.
Oh,
Tina, you saying
Yeah.
that you're blind, for any of the viewers that are not aware of your story,
Yeah.
what had he done to you?
Basically, what he had done is when I was sleeping, I don't remember him coming up the stairs or anything. He'd come into the room, he'd put me through my bed, because all my slats on my bed was actually broken and put through. He'd come in, he'd beaten me unconscious. My head was twice the size of what it should have been, broken nose, broken jaw. And basically, when I was unconscious, he gouged my eyes out with his bare thumbs.
God.
I didn't know that I was blind until basically on that third time that I come back round after he'd knocked me unconscious. When I come back round, I knew that he was trying to kill me then. That is when I knew what he was doing. And then when I come up, I spewed straight away, and I spewed up everywhere. And I actually think that was what stopped him from drowning me. Because
goodness me.
I think he's either shocked by the fact that I spewed up, or he didn't want to get sick all over him.
Oh, and
I don't
Tina,
know what it was.
and he actually he kept you hostage for 12 hours.
12 hours,
He
yeah.
wouldn't get you any help. So
No.
then if we focus, I mean, I can't even imagine.
So you then kept her hostage for 12 hours. I wonder what sentence this guy got. I'm going to have a look.
So sorry, and I know that I will echo the feelings and thoughts of all of my viewers. It is appalling what you've been through. We're so sorry that you've experienced that. And those words that you've just said, when he says you're never going to see your children again and it's your fault. I mean, I can't even, as a mummy myself, I can't imagine what that must have felt like. And I want to tell you, on behalf of everyone watching this, none of this was your fault. I can assure you of that. So tell me then, when it came to your sight then,
okay, so I'm going to stop this interview now. So I've just looked to see so the reason this is back in the news, because I don't remember this story from when it happened, but the reason it's back in the news is he's been moved to an open prison. So let's have a look at that. So this is in Cornwall, this happened. Oh, there she is, Tina. Bless her. So Cornwall woman blinded by her ex-partner fears for her life. So this is just Monday, this article. As he's moved to an open prison. Oh my God. So Tina Nash, 44, from Cornwall, was blinded by Shane Jenkin in April 2011 during a violent attack in which he held her hostage for 12 hours. strangled her, broke her nose and jaw, and gouged out her eyes. So he's sentenced. Oh my God. Oh God. So Jenkin, 45, of Sea Lane Hale in Cornwall, admitted grievous bodily harm and was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 6 years. So bear in mind, this guy has already been in prison for stamping on someone's head and giving them brain damage. He's blinded this poor woman and strangled her and held her hostage for 12 hours. And he was only given a minimum term of 6 years. So he was moved to an open prison at the beginning of March this year. In an open prison, he can leave for short periods under license to take part in paid or unpaid work or to see a family member who is seriously ill. A Ministry of Justice spokesperson, right, I'm getting angry now, said a robust risk assessment is always carried out before any prisoners move to open conditioners. For fuck's sake, sorry about my language, but this guy, how many risk assessments do you need to do on someone who's given one person brain damage and blinded another? After learning of his relocation, Miss Nash said, I'm really scared because I don't think he'll leave it, especially because I've spoken out about what he's done. I think he's been sitting there this whole entire time, kicking himself that he did not finish me off. I'm not going into what Laura Richards said because I'm not a fan of hers. I'm extremely, No, I'll talk about what Jane Monckton Smith says. I have a lot of respect for her, but not the other one. So, Miss Nash, who met Jenkin at a club in Penzance in August 2009, said the first 8 months of their relationship was loving until he turned on her. Well, we've just heard the story. Now, we need a picture of him because if you're living in Cornwall or anywhere around there, here he is. This is Jane Monckton Smith's post. This is how I came to see about this story. There he is. So if you're living in Cornwall and you see this twonk, make sure you stay away from him. Oh my God. So the next thing he'll do is he will kill someone. And then maybe they'll keep him in prison, eh? Maybe then they'll keep him in prison. Hi, Sheila. Yeah. So he's in an open prison. If you live in Cornwall, watch out for this guy. They're going to wait. I'll tell you, he'll kill someone in the end. If it's not her, it'll be somebody else. Because this man has already stamped on someone's head and given them brain damage, blinded her, strangled her, and kept her hostage for 12 hours. And he's going to get let out, isn't he? He's going to be free to do either something to her, or he'll go off and do it to somebody else, won't he? Let's have a look what Jane Monckton Smith had to say. Yeah, no, I love Jane Monckton Smith. I have a lot of respect for her. I remember this awful case. He doesn't deserve to ever be released. Yeah. Awful. Right. We're really angry now, aren't we? We're all angry. I thought, bye, Donna. Have a good day. I thought I'd finish on this story because although I knew it was a horrible story in one way, but I thought it was good because it's positive, but I didn't know the whole story. I've only seen it today. So, my God. No, when are we, what, how do, justice. Oh my God, that is no justice. I mean, we have seen some good sentences recently, but 6 years, a minimum of 6 years for doing all that. And don't forget, he's already been in prison for violence. It's not even his first offence. It's like this woman's life is not, her experience is not important. It's terrible, disgusting. I'm absolutely outraged about this man. Just let's go back to that one again. No, she was. Oh dear me! Honestly, I'm sort of struggling for something to say here because let's just go back and look at another article. Let's have a look at the BBC. There she is, bless her. Ay. Now listen to this. So this Ministry of Justice spokesperson says, you know, all prisoners must pass a robust risk assessment before they move to open conditions. And we do not hesitate to move them back to closed prisons if they break the rules. Well, it's too late then, isn't it? So he goes out there, maybe attacks her again, maybe even murders her or kills somebody else. Oh, well, then we'll send him back to a closed prison. Oh my God, no words. Exactly, Annie, no words. So I'm sorry, I was meaning to finish on something more positive. That's not very positive. I think I might need to look at some kangaroos or wombats or something to make me smile. But yeah, that is just, I'm just speechless, as you say, Annie. We're all speechless over that. That's how much our safety means. You know, that poor woman. God, of course she's terrified. My God. That man's not going to stop. He'll hate her even more. He will hate her even more now because she has spoke up against him. Right, I'm going to look at a wombat. I love these wombats. Look at this.
You got here, Ashley?
Miller.
She's doing so good, isn't
The
she?
size of that
Who
wombat.
do you reckon's heavier, you or Miller?
Probably me. Cause
Oh, I'll give you a look, hey? Whoa,
He's bloody heavy.
whoa. All right, give me a look. Oh my God, you're way lighter. That's a dense wombat right here.
Let's find a baby wombat. Sorry, I don't want to watch her. Look, let's have a look at a baby wombat. So I like to look at these wombats that are
So
safe.
far, I'm not seeing any obvious injuries except for the bruising. She's got quite a lot of bruising on her back.
So what happens is that quite often these little joeys, like wombats and kangaroos, of course, and their mums sometimes are killed on the road or whatever. Like what they say is you should always check in their pouch because quite often they might be carrying a little joey like this, and then these wombat rescue places, they save them and bring them up, and there's a lot of positive stories. Sometimes there's sad stories come out of this where they're not able to save someone. But look at its ears, look at it's so cute. Bless, and look at its nails there. I always say that's like my toenails after the winter when I need to have a pedicure. It's like so cute. Anyway, so we just finished looking at something cute. We'll watch this video and then I've got to go. But yeah, I hope I wasn't expecting that story to be quite as traumatic as it was.
She's drinking every bottle, which is really good. She's hungry now because it's bottle time.
Oh, bless.
So I just do a quick check before I close her up. She's don't want it to get cold. And then I'll feed her and she goes straight back into the incubator.
Oh, she's in an
Hey, Papa.
incubator.
Her eyes should open hopefully in a few weeks. She's a little fighter. Me.
I hope she survives, bless her. But she's got a good chance. She's been looked after by... oh, Lord. Oh. Yeah, so a little bit of hope there at the end there. Look, she hopefully this little one will survive. She couldn't be in a better place. Well, she could be. She could still be with her mum, but if she can't be with her mum, this wombat rescue thing, they're brilliant. The things they do. He's enjoying his little bottle there. Makes me want a puppy. I want a puppy now or a kitten. So just thought I'd cheer you all to finish off, because that was a pretty horrendous story, wasn't it? And as I say, I wasn't expecting it to be. I didn't realise that he'd been moved to an open prison. So I hope that lady's okay. Anyway, just awful. But okay, I've got to go. So now the good news from here, from Spain, is it's now 18 degrees. It says on my computer, it's got a little sun. So it means that maybe we're not going to have any more rain. Hopefully it's finished. If the rain has finished, I am going to get out and take some nice footage of nice places, the beach, etc. Try and cheer it, because we follow the true crime, and it does grind you down a little bit. I mean, yesterday when I was telling my son about something, and he just said, "Oh, I don't want to know anymore." Don't tell me anymore. You know, he just skims over it. But it's funny, isn't it? You have this sort of, you feel like there's this urgency that these people urge that these people should have their stories told. But of course, it is, you know, depressing, isn't it? It does grind you down. So we need to do some more positive things as well. But anyway, have a good day, good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening, whatever you're doing. I'll be back really soon in the next video. And as I say, remember, I'm going to break up this video into smaller videos and release them sort of individually with the different things, because we've talked about a lot here. We've talked about the Heathrow sort of problems. We've talked about Stefan Stearns. We've talked about Brian Koberger. And we've talked about those two ladies at the end who deserved their stories to be told, who we've talked about Gillian Howell, who was murdered by her friend, who wrote bully on her forehead, and she was far from a bully. He was the bully. He got a life sentence. At least he got a decent sentence. And then, of course, we've talked about this lady, absolutely heartbroken, Tina Nash. And she, of course, survived her attack, but it was left blinded. And her attacker, unfortunately, has been moved to an open prison in Cornwall. And then we had a look at wombats. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God, as always, go with you.